Today we've got none other than Jason Haugen, who is the founder and CEO of Haugen RV Group. Jason has been an entrepreneur since the age of 18, starting first in network marketing, where he built a team of thousands and was the top earner and speaker in that company. In 2018, Jason founded the Haugen RV Group, which is currently doing over $100 million in revenue and has over 200 employees across 3 states. Jason is also a speaker and host of the Culture Camp podcast, where he interviews business owners, athletes, entrepreneurs, and more. Jason has a passion for building great teams and wants to share that passion with as many people as he can. So with that, welcome in, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah,
means a lot.
Of course. Thanks for being here. Well, first question I usually ask Jason, just to get a little background on you. Maybe if you could talk a little bit about your upbringing, kind of what listeners should know about, your childhood, early years, to help us understand who you are today.
Yeah, I mean, I had a very unique childhood. I don't have, I have a very, very unique childhood. Let's just say that. But I grew up in a fairly wealthy house. My mom and dad we had a lot. But the difference is my mom and dad are like, hey, we're rich, you're broke. So our money's our money, your money's our money, your money. Mm-hmm. So, like if we went out to eat, I've never ordered a drink at dinner or lunch or anywhere in my entire life until I think I was probably 18, 19 years old and knew that like soda existed at a...
It's just water cups.
Yeah, it was just water cups, and you ate a hamburger because that was the cheapest thing on the menu. My mom and dad even had their own airplane, and we would only eat pizza and McDonald's because it was the cheapest thing and could feed the family. And they were always those people, which that's just I was used to that. And my mom and dad were big. Motivational speakers, teachers, business coaches. They were in a network marketing company with, I don't know, back then they didn't have any internet, so you didn't know how many people were in your group, but it's kind of rumored, and they estimate over 1 million people in their downline at one point, and around like 32 countries, I think, that they were in around the world, and just built a massive organization with no computers, no Wi-Fi, no internet, no cell phones, nothing. I mean, they did it the old-fashioned way, and that's the world I grew up in. I mean, I grew up on a tour bus going from city to city, arena to arena, and I'm talking like arena, like they sold out these like massive NBA arenas. Like I remember selling out the Delta Center back in the Salt Lake City days.
Wow.
Now it's the Vivint Home Arena or whatever it's called, Vivint Arena. Mm-hmm. But selling that out just to go to these entrepreneur conferences with them, and that's what we did. I mean, we would be on the road for 3 or 4 months out of the year, literally gone for 3 or 4 months out of the year, my entire life, childhood, I guess.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad were gone about 300 days a year, which, comes with its challenges. I mean, they were never there for anything. It kind of sucked. I mean,
Sure.
I grew up with a little bit of abandonment issues and working through that. And it sucked. Like I wanted my mom and dad there, but we knew that they were out there doing their thing. In the world and making an impact. And I was young enough that I really didn't understand what they were doing. And then when I got a little bit older, they kind of retired. And I'm like, hey guys, I really want to learn from you. And so I went and joined a network marketing company and kind of was hoping that they could coach me, but they were actually with a non-compete with another company. They couldn't really coach us. So we had to go learn the old fashioned way. I mean, they would recommend some like books, and we would listen to my dad's old tapes. And we went to the store and got them burned into CDs.
Nice.
And we bought like CD players, and like we didn't have no CD players in the car. So we'd be listening to literally like OG, like JVC CD player in the car, just gaining the knowledge. And I have a twin brother, and we did a lot of this stuff together.
Cool.
I mean, he was actually my upline back then.
Got it.
But I just wanted to do what mom and dad did. I mean, I wanted that quote unquote freedom. I mean, now looking at it, was kind of not that true of freedom, because we didn't take a vacation for 17 years.
Dang.
My mom and dad, for 17 years, my mom and dad did not take a vacation. They didn't have to do with the business. And so, but that's what you had to do. I mean, with dedication, is what they did. And it was just awesome to be able to see them do their thing and grind and impact. Like my mom and dad are more known for the impact they made on people's lives than any amount of money they've ever made. Yeah. And that means a lot, because now I'm finding a lot of these, I would say older, but like older than me, but people that have been impacted greatly by them, and like founders, like my mom and dad were Costa Vida, founded Costa Vida, and those guys were in their downline.
Really?
Bridge Investments, one of the guys that helped found that in their downline, and like everything that kind of came from mom and dad's downline, the people that impacted and know them, like still to this day, like I'll scan a ticket at going on an airplane, and it'll say like Jason Haugen. They'll look up and like, are you Randy and Valerie Haugen's son? And I'm like, Yeah. Like, are you one of the twins? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh my gosh, in 1999, I was at a conference and you were there. And this, I'm like, okay, like cool. Like still to this day. And that is cool. Like that just like the impact that they made is awesome. And I want to keep carrying that through. But that was my childhood. I mean, every single dinner table was a seminar or if there was a book, 7, highly effective habits of a toddler, we would have read it. I mean, we were reading books from 8, 9 years old. Instead of reading storybooks, we're reading leadership books. Yeah. And that was normal to us, which is very not normal, but like I couldn't even fathom not doing that. I hope that doesn't sound weird, but that was our life.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you had a great set of parents that were just on a track to success, and you were able to absorb pros and cons. Sounds like you're able to absorb a lot of that. Maybe there's some downside of them not being around as much, but sounds like for the most part inspired you to want to follow in their footsteps and be as successful as they are. Yeah. What was the product that they were selling?
Back then Amway had everything. I mean, from soaps. I mean, we sold fruit roll-ups and ketchup and cereal. I mean, they had everything. They were basically it was
Amway though.
Yeah, it was Amway. Okay. They're known for their soap and now their energy drink called Excess. Okay. We actually were there when they developed Excess and all that stuff, which I think is the largest energy drink in the world. I think they're in the multi-billion a year in sales, which to put it in perspective, at one time, like they were doing like 2 or 3 billion in Excess sales a year. And Red Bull was the largest at the time with like 600 million a year. Now I don't know the numbers now, but back when I used to sell network marketing, that's kind of what it was, to just put in perspective how big they were. Yeah. And that's what they did. But my mom and dad were more focused on the system and self-development. They were really selling the products. And my mom and dad's quote unquote system, that's what really built and solidified the business, is that self-development side of the network marketing companies, which is changed. Like now everything is like the FTC has definitely been ruling differently on network marketing. Like you have to be more customer based, and they actually kind of look down on like business builders and dreaming. And if you take pictures of a car, like that's illegal. All these things, like it's just gotten kind of messy, and it's not the network marketing that I know from, years ago. Yeah. So when I got in it, it was just very different. I had a really hard time. I was the worst recruiter, but what I did is I fell in love with speaking. Okay. And training the groups. And so that was my role. And so I recruited a handful of people, and from those handful of people, thousands of people came. Because I was like, I'm just going to get really good at building the team. Yeah. I'm not going to be the world's greatest recruiter.
So what was the company that you then transitioned when you turned 18? You want to get in the business yourself. Yep. What was that group?
So it's called Avasay. And like right out of high school. So in high school, like my senior year, I mean, I worked ever since I was 16 years old. Okay. Like when we turned 16, I mean, I worked at Costa Vida, and I thought I was crushing at 725. I'd work from 5:30 to 9:30. My paycheck's $80-$90. I was like, man, I'm super rich. We go bowling. Like I was like, let's like this is the sickest thing in the world.
My first job was at Bajío Mexican Grill.
Oh heck yeah! I remember Bajío for sure.
Classic. So same kind of thing.
Yeah, I love it. And that's like we bought our own cars. Like I say, we because family, but like I bought my own car, my own insurance, my own cell phone, my own clothes, my own gas. Everything was like when you turn 16. We were basketball players. My twin brother was phenomenal. He had a lot of full ride scholarships, but they were like, "Hey, like, learn how to work through basketball. Like basketball's not a job. I'm sorry, it's not going to pay your bills. So right now you have to go work." And so we had to juggle that schedule and do that. And when I got out of high school, I actually was a model at Hollister.
Nice.
And worked there for a while. Loved it. Did like the whole shirtless greeting thing with a little whistle and the shorts.
You had to.
Dude, that was like any 18-year-old's dream, right? Like I'm like, man, with all these girls. Well, it was the dumbest thing in the world, but and a lot of work, and you got paid nothing. I mean, they gave you a free set of clothes. That was pretty much it. And then I worked at GNC, because I really loved fitness and bodybuilding back then. Yeah. And then I got into a company called Avasay in February, March of 2013. Yeah. And it just kind of grew from there. I mean, I still was working at GNC, or I actually quit GNC because of a boss I had, and then really didn't know what to do. And so I actually worked for my dad being his maintenance man. Okay. So I have a very large, I'll call estate. And I was in charge of managing the estate.
Got it.
It was hell. I mean, I still am the only person that I know ever since we were little of having a time clock. So we would literally clock in and clock out of jobs, and it wasn't chores, and we didn't get an allowance. It was, you want to go golf? this is what, it's $7 to go golfing. I remember this vividly. It was $7 for 9 holes walking at this little golf course by my house. And we had to go pick weeds for about 5 hours to go make that $7. And we would literally clock in, clock out, write the job description of what we did, give it to my mom, and she would go check the work and be like, okay, you can go golfing now.
Yeah.
And so now still, when I was the maintenance guy, they're just paying me to basically, I was literally on payroll of just maintaining the estate. And then finally the network marketing thing came out, and it wasn't exploded from day one. It took a long time for us to realize how to do that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hell, but it forced us to learn and adapt. And it sucked not having mom and dad, but it was awesome because they weren't like our crutch. Mm-hmm. And everybody thinks that, like, oh, your mom and dad did, that's why you're successful. We're like, bro, my mom and dad won't even let us have meetings at their house because of how serious they took the non-compete. And if we got sued, they didn't want me and my brother to have to lie on the witness stand.
Yeah.
And so they're like, do your own thing. They didn't want to give us any advice. They would just be like, hey, go talk to this person. That's all I'm going to tell you. And I'm like, dude, and then, nope, not going to help you. So that was tough.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, I'm curious, your parents sounds like very well off, but they did an incredible job of trying to, bifurcate like their wealth and your wealth, right? You got to earn your own stripes.
There's a clear line.
Yeah. So how are you? I mean, you've got a daughter, is that right? And just one kid right now?
Yep. I have one on the way.
I'm one on the way. Congrats.
Yep. Thank you very much.
That's great. Yeah. How are you thinking about that for your kids? I mean, you're obviously super successful right now. Like, have you started to think about those practices and when the kids get older, are you going to try to do the same thing your parents did?
Dude, it's so hard because like I have this dream and this burning desire to give like my family the dream life that they've always wanted. And I like, if anybody has advice, please hit me up because I get asked this all the time, like this exact question. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I want my daughter to have like a great life, and I want her to, like, I am divorced. And so there is this like dynamic between my ex-wife and her husband, which we're very close with. Like it's weird. Like we're one big happy family, literally. Like I will have both girls, like her daughter and my daughter in both arms. Like we are
That's good.
Like a great family. But I battle with them of like, I don't want my daughter to only like me because of the life that she has when she's at dad's house. So I battle that. Mm-hmm. And then which is hard. Like mentally, it's like I know that she loves me because I'm her dad, but like why? Like I got to be careful. And so I'm always checking in with my ex-wife and her husband and be like, hey, like what do you guys do? I want her to have very similar values in both homes. But then it's like, hey, like I want to give her a life that she can only dream of. Like it wasn't this last Rose Bowl, but the Rose Bowl before, or Pac-12 championship, Pac-12 championship. We have a plane and we flew the whole family down to there, and like she got on it and she's like, oh, like look at daddy's little itty bitty baby plane. And I'm like, you little brat. But she's only 3, right? But I'm like, what do I do? Like, do I make this normal? Because my mom and dad flew on their plane. They made us fly commercial.
Dang.
They did not let us hardly ever on the plane. They're like, what did you do to earn a seat on the plane? And I'm like,
I love it.
I don't know. They're like, you're 10 years old. You did nothing. Like, you fly commercial, we'll fly on the jet with some of their downline and upline, so like that, the network marketing. Like, they deserve a seat on it.
Yeah.
We're going to have a business meeting basically on the jet. You'll fly commercial. We'll see you when we get there. And quite often, like, this sounds crazy, we would go to Hawaii with them. I would never see them one time when we were in the same resort.
Wow.
Because they were so busy doing their thing. We'd either be with a babysitter or a grandparent. And so like, I don't know what to do. Like, I want to create this life for my daughter, but like, I don't want her to be a spoiled brat, because I have some people in my life that their daughters are very well. I mean, they got jets and every kind of car. I mean, multiple jets and all that. I mean, you guys are the little spoiled little brats I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. And
I mean, their father's even like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm freaking out because they're hit with reality. And I'm like, well, give them reality. And then I'm like, do I take my own advice? Like, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I was sitting down with, I don't know if you know Brandon Andra, who started Empower Solar. He was in here the other week, but we had a similar conversation where it's like the big goal, one of the big goals of an entrepreneur is to make money and provide, a lifestyle for your family, because that, you want them to be happy, you want to enjoy that. And I think his advice was err to the side of experiences rather than things, right? Like, maybe it's not the car, maybe it's not the fancy wallet or the purse, but it's like, we're going to take a family trip, and enjoy this time because we have the resources to do it. Right. So I don't know. For what it's worth.
That's actually the conversations me and my current wife have had.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know. Like I love experiences. I love family. And maybe it's because I didn't really have those moments in my life growing up. I didn't have, like, my mom and dad hated crowds, hated people, because this sounds silly, but like they couldn't go to the grocery store because people would come up to them and try to get an autograph on a tape or this or that and the other. I mean, like, this sounds just so weird because it's just so long ago, but they were kind of relatively famous in their world.
Sure.
And so they just like grew up like not wanting to be with people. And so I didn't have those experiences. Like I don't remember one time in my life, like we have an amusement park here in Utah called Lagoon. I remember one time in my life going to Lagoon with my mom and dad. I went with my sister when I was a little bit older, but we didn't have those experiences. We don't go bowling with, like, we didn't do anything with them.
Yeah.
Like, and so it sounds so bad. I hope they don't listen to this and hate me, but that's true. Like, we didn't do any of those things. And so now I'm like, told my wife, I'm like, hey, like, let's go to Disneyland and get like a VIP tour guide and butt all the lines and have a good time with our daughter. Like, and like when we're there, like, yeah, we'll buy her the fun things and we'll take her to her Princess Day and we'll do all like, give her an experience that she'll remember forever. She still talks about it.
That's great.
And I asked her, I was like, Remy, like, her name's Remy. And I'm like, what do you want to do this summer? And she's like, I want to go to SeaWorld again. And I'm like, we took her to SeaWorld. I'm like, let's do it. Like, so we stayed at the Coronado Hotel and we went to SeaWorld and the San Diego Zoo. I'm like, let's do that again. And like, you think about it and it's like, yeah, like, I want her to remember that. And I want her to remember that, like, dad and mom tried to be there for her and give her experiences. So I would totally agree with that. Yeah. And maybe I'm talking myself into it right now.
Yeah.
If that's what the direction we go.
I think you're doing it right, dude. I think you're finding the right balance, and
dude,
it sounds like you're doing great, man.
It's tough.
It's awesome.
Especially when she makes fun of how little the plane is. I'm like, hey, you're never flying this again.
One step at a time, I guess. Well, dude, so your network marketing career. So you start off kind of out of high school, GNC, transition into network marketing. So how long were you there? Kind of what were maybe lessons learned, and what was the ultimate end game going into that?
So network marketing, field? I was in from 2013 to 2019.
Okay.
Went through a transition period in 2017 where we were selling the company, or this company got sold, and I lost everything.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I was looked at the biggest rank and on a platter, and I had to be all this to everybody and show that the lifestyle and show that I could buy a new car and a house and this and that and the other, which is that world. Like, you have to kind of show it to show that it works. Mm-hmm. And then 2017, they changed everything. They sold the company, and my comp plan didn't really, like, how I got paid and how this new company was paying didn't really coincide with each other. So I pretty much lost 100% of my income.
Wow.
And so I made a phone call to my buddy, which is the hardest phone call I've ever made in my life, basically saying, dude, I'm going completely broke. Like, I had a little bit of savings, but like in the network marketing world, you get caught up in this bad, like, cycle of buying and travel. Like, you're paying all your own stuff. Like, the company doesn't pay anything for you. Like, you're paying the travel, and I would go speak all over the place, and most of the time I'd get paid to speak maybe, but I'd have to cover my own travel or this and that. It might break even, or I might lose a little bit of money, but it's kind of like putting in the bank of like credibility, and it's good for the long game, right? Because that's what my mind was at, because I felt like I was going to do that forever. And so, yeah, I mean, I made that phone call to my best friend, and I was like, dude, I know you own a cabinet company and a construction company. Like, can I come work for you? And he was like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, he was even in my downline. And I'm like, I'm going to go broke. Like, I will lose everything. Like, I have no income, like, I don't know what to do. And I still have to have this persona that I'm Mr. Jason Haugen, this most amazing person.
Sure.
So I need something that no one will ever see me do. And I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm doing it, because I still have to build a network marketing company in the new company. Because now these new guys are, hey, Jason, why don't you do this? And you're going to be on the board and this and that and the other. And I'm like, okay. And so that was really, really tough to go through mentally, but it helped me a lot. But I was sweeping floors. I was building cabinets. I mean, I would literally I would build and do construction all day long. And then I'd go and do these meetings, these presentations. And luckily we had Zoom, but I'd also go locally here in Utah and Salt Lake City and stuff, like go speak in front of maybe 50 or so people, go home, kiss my wife goodnight. She'd go to sleep. I'd go to the cabinet shop in the middle of the night, build an entire basically kitchen or whatever I had to do. I'd build all the cabinets, saran wrap and package them all up, put them in the box truck for the crew to, come in at 5 a.m. the next morning for the installation crew. I'd get done around 4 or 5 in the morning. They would grab the box truck and go, and then I would go to sleep, go to the gym, and then go to sleep for a few hours, and then I would turn this vicious cycle all the time just so I could work in the shadows. Like, so no one knew I was doing it, and just to be able to keep my house and my car, and that's all I cared about. And then, then I got an opportunity, and at the end of, like, a little further at the end of 2017, that an opportunity of a dealership came about. And my dad was like, hey, like my dad's, well off and didn't really want to do anything, and I've always wanted to kind of keep it at arm's length with my dad, because I didn't want to be Randy Haugen's son. I wanted to be Jason Haugen. Like, I wanted to be like, oh, Randy Haugen, like, you're Jason Haugen's dad. Like, that's what I wanted people to be like. Exactly. And I love my dad, but I wanted to make I wanted to be my own person. Like, I was tired of my whole life telling me that I have everything because mom and dad. Like, I'm like, if I did, I have the worst car in the parking lot. Like, I bought my own car. Yeah. It was the worst car in the parking lot. And so he was like, hey, there's an opportunity to buy a dealership in Salt Lake City. And I'm like, we love the RV industry. We grew up in an RV. We had a trailer. We go out camping all the time. Okay. That was our jam. That was our thing. And we hated the service side of it because there's a lot of complicated, like, we've had problems with dealerships, and we've always dreamed we could open up a service center and do this and do that. I mean, that's been a dream for years between our family. And then this opportunity came. He's like, hey, like, I'll invest in you. Like, I want you, run it. We can run it together. You got to give me a little bit. I'll give you a little. Like, we'll go in this together. I'll be kind of a silent investor, silent owner, and this will be the way that it'll work. I was like, dude, I'm kind of desperate at the time. I was like, sure, I'll do anything. Like, I need an opportunity to kind of break out. And then at the time, I was like, network marketing is not going to be my thing. It's just not what I thought it was. And he made me start in sales. And he's like, hey, you have to go sell trailers and create a living off of selling trailers. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me, dude? Like, I can do this and I can run it and this. And he's like, nope, you have to start in sales. For me to invest, you have to start in sales. And I'm like, okay. So I went and did sales for 6 months. And in June of 2018, he basically was like, hey, it's yours. You're the operations manager. I didn't want to be the general manager because I didn't want to be the front face and everything. I like being in the back and just orchestrating everything. So I became the operations manager basically and just ran the dealerships. And they had never really made money. We made money that year. And I'm brand new in the RV industry. I mean, it's such a complicated industry. And I'm just doing this while still doing network marketing. Got it. And so in 2019, the network marketing company got sold again. And at that time, I was like, screw you guys, I'm done. I mean, I remember flying to San Diego. It was like November 1st. I don't know why I know the dates. Well, I was in actually Vegas for Halloween with my now wife. We had just met, and I got a phone call that said, hey, we got sold. There's a board meeting in like a day. You have to be there. I'm like, okay. So I flew right from Vegas right to San Diego, went to the meeting. I remember texting my girlfriend at the time, my wife, and basically saying, hey, I'm done with network marketing. I'm leaving all of this on the table. Like, I stopped doing my auto ship, which made me ineligible to get commissions, and I left everything there. I don't know how much is still in my wallet. I logged out of everything. There could be $20,000, $30,000. I don't know. Gone. I'm done with it. I'm going all in the RV industry. And in 2020, we had bought 2 more dealerships right before COVID and just freaking took off since then. Wow. So I know that was kind of a long story.
No, that's awesome, man. And talk about good timing, right? COVID, I know, was a big accelerator for the RV industry.
But we didn't know it.
Right.
Dude,
right.
So we bought it February 1st, 2020.
Yeah. Okay. Initially, you're probably like, crap.
Yeah. So I think it was like March 13th, 16th when the whole world shut down, because I remember vividly, it was basically Rudy Gobert shut down the world. Yeah, the NBA shut down.
The microphones.
Yeah. And I was at that last home game. It was crazy. And dude, I actually gave Rudy Gobert a hug. So did you? Dude, I could have, and he was infected at the time. Yeah, so, there you go. I was going to wear like my Tyvek suit and respirator.
Patient zero.
Yeah. Cause it so happened, I sat courtside and I kind of knew him. So I was like, hey man, what's up? Like, how's it going? I had no idea what was going to happen. Yeah. But, yeah, dude, like, I remember like looking at it, and I called my dad and I'm like, hey man, how does bankruptcy work? And he's like, what are you talking about? And so he's like, you're already going bankrupt. At the time he was, a little bit attached to it, and he was like worried about his investment. I was like, no. I was just wondering, like, if I have 10 million in inventory or, 30 million in inventory, or how does bankruptcy work? And my dad's like, I don't know. It's kind of just a digit. Like, you just write down 30 million or whatever. Like, basically there's really no difference. And I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, why? I was like, no reason. So I got out the phone. I ordered 20 million in inventory right then. I'm like, because I had gotten told, hey, this is gonna be the best thing for the RV industry. And I'm like, dude, and we were going like how to scale. We had just bought these dealerships, biggest purchase of my entire life, like millions of dollars purchasing these dealerships. Yeah. And I'm like, we just made the worst mistake of our life. And I'm like throwing stuff, like calling Cayman. We going to the Belize, Cayman Islands, throw the money away. Like we're going bankrupt. And we had plans of how to scale those dealerships back, laying everybody off. I mean, it was Chernobyl. Like we didn't know what to do. And then, I got that counsel that's like, hey, this is going to be the best year for the RV industry. And I'm like, okay.
Who told you that? Was it somebody?
One of my mentors, and he's a big consultant in the RV industry. And he's still this day. I mean, I talk to him every single day. One of my really best friends now. I mean, we were like family now.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, trust me. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what's the worst going to happen? If we're going out of business and we're sinking ship anyway, let's at least come out fighting. And I ordered all the inventory. Dude, we were sticking inventory in every house and lot and piece of ground that we could lease or anything. Like body shops. Hey, man, can I take, a little area of your body shop and throw some inventory in there? Sure. Like we were putting it everywhere, which the banks don't like doing because they got to be insured. But yeah, it was amazing. I mean, we had our first, dude, I remember our first year in business, we sold $12.5 million in sales.
Wow.
First year. Second year was $13.5 million. In the third year during COVID, we sold $15 million in 1 month.
Wow.
I could not believe it. Like, I mean, yeah, we had a couple more dealerships, and luckily those two dealerships were in very rural areas of Utah, which COVID didn't exist out in the farm towns. Yeah. But dude, it was the crazy, like it was one of the most stressful times of my life.
I could imagine.
I mean, it was hard, but it ended up being awesome. But
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then it kind of just kept going from there.
So yeah, I want to break down a little bit. So I guess, when you guys bought the first one, like how much did you put into it? Like what was the cost of the acquisition? What was like the business plan? And how did like RV dealerships work? Like curious about your margins, like how you move inventory. I don't know, just kind of break it down a little bit.
I'm definitely going to turn everybody off right now of owning an RV dealership because it sucks. It is. So Harvard Business came out with an article in 2019 that an RV dealership specifically was the hardest business in America to run.
Wow.
It is so freaking complicated and it's so archaic. I mean, we're 25 years behind the auto industry. So think about that. I mean, we're like, it's just barbaric. But I think that we bought the first dealership, it's been so long ago, like 600,000.
Okay.
So not that much, but they were going out of business pretty much. We didn't know how bad they were. So we actually in the first month had to put in another $400,000.
Got it.
So that was not the greatest situation ever. And the margins on RVs range between 10% and 14%. I mean, I would say average is 12%.
Yep.
Everybody kind of shoots for 14, but it's difficult.
And does that include so if you sell an RV for whatever, $100,000, like does that bake into account your overhead, operating costs? Like
nope.
That's just gross pure profit. Cost of RV grow. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why it's complicated, right? And it's very aggressive because people will drive to go get RVs. I mean, we got people from California. They're like, oh yeah, you're $700 cheaper than in Orange County, and we drove to Utah. I'm like, what the hell's the matter with you? But sorry, I swear on the show. But I'm like, okay, and so it makes it complicated. It's very competitive.
Yep.
And so, but we have financing. Industry average in the financing, which is like your back-end products like service contracts and all that stuff. It's probably 4% of the RV industry, I think. And then we're about 9% right now. We're hoping to get to 12 by the end of the year. And so we're very, very strong in that aspect. But it's so complicated because let's use round numbers. If I made $10 million in a year in the RV business, in my EBITDA, you can call EBITDA even though RV industry does not use EBITDA because we don't add in the interest. So say I made $10 million net profit is what we say. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wow, freaking killing it. Like you think that I got a Lambo on the front and all these things. And I'm like, okay, sure. Well, it's a super cash flow crazy, intense industry. Okay. So I buy all these trailers on a credit line. I got a $50 million credit line right now. It fluctuates, but say $50 million credit line. Well, right now my interest is 9.75%.
Okay.
So I'm almost racking up around a $5 million bill on the interest or more a year. Yeah. Okay. So in the RV industry, if I make $10 million, we got to pay taxes on that. I can't do a lot of tax, tax sheltering. Yeah. Because the banks hate that. So if I show you my financials that the banks don't like, they'll pull my inventory and I'm out of business. So you're playing the game of how to look super sexy to the banks. So maybe you might mitigate that risk. You might put cash in something. You might take cash out of the business and put it in something else. And maybe you're showing an $8 million net because you put $2 million out. Well, you still got to pay taxes on that $8 million. Call it 50% because that's about what it is. And so now I got $4 million left over. Still okay. What if I'll have about $5 to $6 million in used inventory? So I'm upside down $1.5 million to $2 million in cash.
Got it.
So I'm always like, RV dealership people are the richest broke people in the world because it's a cash game. And then on top of that, you pay curtailments, which is the principal payments on the industry or on the inventory, which could be between 2 and 4% of the invoice a month.
Okay.
So I've had $1 million months where I've paid $1 million in cash on the principal.
Dang.
So it's in this vicious cycle of cash flow.
Yeah.
Like a lot of very profitable dealerships that are making millions of dollars a year go out of business because of cash flow. So if I'm making all these net profits, but I have all my money in my used inventory and then I have to pay $1 million in curtailments, what do you do?
Right. That's tough. When you say used inventory, so you've got $5 million.
Like when you're bringing in a trade, right? So like if you're buying an RV from me and you're like, I got this trade and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you $50,000 for the trade. The banks don't floor that. So, or the flooring is our credit line. Okay. I have to buy that in cash, pay off your loan 50 G's, buy it in cash and it's sitting in my lot. So we're trying to turn and burn that because that's cash sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Now there are ways that you can floor it and like banks will floor it, but it's very high. It's way higher interest than new, which new is 9.75 right now. So it's like going to be probably 12, 13%.
Oh, okay.
Interest.
Yeah.
But it's this game of cash flow, right? Which just horrible. I mean, you're like my payroll is $1 million, probably $1.5 million a month.
Dang.
And you have all this, and so I'm paying that. Plus, I'm paying all the expenses of the dealership. Plus, I'm paying curtailments. Like my curtailment bill the other day was $788,000.
And what's that word? Sorry.
Curtailment. So that's basically the principal payment. So when inventory gets aged, you start paying principal every single month between 2 and 4%, depending on the bank that you deal with.
Okay.
And then it escalates as it gets older. So that's why we're very motivated to get off the inventory.
So you're using a line of credit to buy the initial inventory, but as it ages, as it sits, it kind of racks up a little bit.
And you have to pay the curtailments.
Got it.
So last year in 2022, the worst year in the RV industry. Worst year. Margin. During COVID, we're making 20, 25% on these units, right? Yeah. We were just swimming in cash. And then last year, it's like, hey, the industry is going to soften. Okay, cool. How much is it going to soften? I don't know. We're thinking 20, 25%. Okay, let's be conservative, be 25%, right? Well, it softened 50%. We didn't know that. Margins compressed down to sub 10.
Dang.
That sucks. And then the interest rate went from 3% to 9.5%.
Yeah.
And that's all the cash got sucked out of everything. So a lot of dealerships did not make money. We barely made money last year. Like I don't even know if we'd even call it making money.
Yeah.
We did 111 million in sales and it was a tough year, but I kind of pat myself on the back and say, hey, like, we got through the worst time in the RV history.
Yeah.
Because in 2008, sales just declined.
Yeah.
Right. There wasn't margin compressed. Sales declined and then margins compressed a little bit.
Right.
But it wasn't interest rates shooting through the roof. Like I did not budget. I budgeted for 25% down in sales, a little bit of an interest rate bump.
Yeah.
I did not budget for 9.
But not tripling, right?
Dude, I'm like, I never in my wildest dreams thought I would go that high.
Jeez, dude.
And so this year we budgeted for 11% interest.
Okay.
And because we think it's going to get up there. And so but then we're looking at each other like it's not going to be a great year either. Like we max out everything. All that money going on interest is just taking everything. And you can only make so much on the trailers because you have to be price competitive, which right now it's kind of a race to the bottom because we have all these old age inventory.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy. But this March, so March of 2023, I don't know when this episode comes out, will be our biggest month we've ever had in our career.
That's great, man.
Yeah. We're already over 350 units for the month and we're just selling every day. It's crazy. I'm actually very surprised, but a lot of it is due to our pricing is very low because we have to get off these inventory because we have 600 aged units.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on the month of March and success you have. And doing over 100 million revenue is huge. It sounds like, margins can be kind of thin. You've got overhead and stuff to work with, but well, I guess, where are your locations right now? Where are your dealerships? Is it 3 that you guys have now?
We have 9.
Oh, 9. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, no, you're good. So I'm in 3 states. So I have 3 in Oregon.
Okay.
4 in Utah now. We just opened up a 4th.
Okay.
Then I have 2 in Missouri.
Wow. Got it. And that's been, you've acquired those over 2-3 years?
Basically from 2020. So 2020 was
Yeah.
our first technical, like additional. So we had 1 in 2019, 2 in 2020, 5 more in 21, and then 1 this year.
Got it.
Yeah.
How have you been? So the initial one sounds like partnership with your dad and family. You know, how have you been financing like the additional acquisitions? Because I'm thinking from an outsider, right? Like, I'm like, I want to get in the RV space. I want to go buy a dealership. You know, maybe it's $1 million to go buy a dealership. Like, how would you do that? How have you done that? Like, is there an SBA loan you put on to acquire a dealership? Like, how did you structure the acquisition?
So all of them have either been cash or owner earnouts. But the hardest thing in the RV industry is flooring. Like, you almost have to personally guarantee the entire flooring line. So $50 million.
Okay.
Like, it's so hard. Like, even with the net worth, because I had to use my dad for the financial strength. We got in. Like, I could have bought the dealerships. Like, I could have got an SBA loan, bought the dealership, fine.
Yeah.
But I had to put, or my dad, we had to put $1.5 million or $2 million in an ILOC for 365 days.
Got it.
Couldn't touch the money.
And you say the flooring, like the inventory that exists, you got to backstop that basically.
Yeah. So, basically it's a credit line. So you think of a flooring line as a credit line. That's how all dealerships in the world work. Now in the RV industry, we don't get free flooring. In automotive and power sports and cargo trailers and most everything else, it's free. The manufacturer pays a lot of it, or they give you a certain time period. RV industry, no. Once the second I push that button, it doesn't even leave Indiana where they're built. It could take 2 or 3 months to get here. I'm paying interest on it that entire time.
Wow.
Yeah, from the moment that we push that button, we're paying interest on it, and so it's tough, right? Like, there's been some very strong financial people come into this industry, buy dealerships, and they're not able to solidify the flooring because the banks do. This is the most dog-eat-dog, hardest industry I have ever seen in my entire life.
Wow.
With the banking system. The banks have us in jail. Like, you sign documents, no distributions this year. Why? Because I don't want to take it. You can't say no because they're going to pull your line. Okay, hey, you took out $10,000. Why? Well, I had to go to this. Where did it go? What'd you do for it? Oh, you did you did this improvement, you did this, you did that. Why'd you take, like, it's every question, everything that you do, they do audits all the time on all your financial statements.
Wow.
So, and they question everything. And a lot of people are like, why are you in this business? And sometimes I question that, but I do love the industry, but it's playing the game. And we didn't know how hard it was. And, we only had, I think we started out with a $3 million credit line in that first one, and we had to put $1 million or $2 million in an ILOC for 365 days. We negotiated. They reduced it to $1 million, but they still kept it for 365 days.
Got it.
But that sucks. I mean, you have to be financially strong to pay out the cash. You have to buy the dealerships, capitalize the dealerships, which could be about $600,000 per location right when you buy. The day that you close, $600,000 is going to that bank account. You're never going to see it again because you need to pick up payroll. You need to pick up all the expenses, rents, lease. I mean, there's capitalization. You do the dealerships, plus you have to buy all the inventory. Oh, hey, they have $3 million in used inventory. Buy the inventory. So you're buying the used inventory, paying for the dealership, and capitalizing the company. It's difficult.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of people like, hey man, I'll invest $100,000. Be like, I don't even know. Like, you could buy 2 fifth wheels with that, or one motorhome. Like, I'm like, it doesn't really make it. It's the needle. It's not really going to move the needle. You need a lot of firepower. And we've been able to basically self-finance. We're self-funded. Okay. So the dealerships, from all the money we make, we just buy the next dealership, which has been stressful this year or last year, because we didn't get over our we got over our ski tips a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit stressful, but we backed everything off, and we haven't grown. This new dealership in Logan, Utah is basically just easy green. We green spanned it, which means we just leased a building and opened up the dealership. Okay. So it didn't take massive capital to open it up. And then we just moved to a couple employees, and then we already had the credit line availability. So we just threw some units over there. So it was very easy. Got it. But yeah, I mean, dude, it's freaking, it's wild. Yeah. I mean, it's wild.
Well, it sounds like, I mean, for you guys, right? It sounds like there's pretty high barrier to entry. It's like, if you want to, your average Joe is not going to just come in and throw down $1 million to buy an RV dealership. Right. And you've got to have the balance sheet, the net worth. You got to be able to fund,
even the business. Like, dude, they will interview. They drilled my dad and I.
Yeah.
Drilled my dad on it. My dad's like, I've been on this and that. What have you done? And I showed it, dude. And I had to bring like all the statements and interviews and like testimonials from other business people. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I had to go to the old CEO of our company. I had to go to my buddy in the construction companies. My dad had to get out all of his history from Costa Vida and all his, like he owned about 40 different companies. Yeah. All that. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like this is the nuttiest thing in the world. So they're very gun shy. So there's going to be, it's a massive consolidating industry. The big guys just keep buying everybody else because there's not a lot of new guys coming in.
Sure.
Because
what's your guys' plan? Like, you know, you've got 9 dealerships now, 100+ million in revenue. Like, yeah, is it go national, like 50 RV dealerships, or are you guys trying to be a little bit more nimble, just kind of grow with what you have?
You know, I want to stay right now. Plans not to really, I mean, Missouri was awesome. It's a great deal. That's why we bought it. I don't love being super spread out right now. I really want to keep our region to growth in the Western United States, basically 500 miles from Salt Lake City in either direction in a radius, minus California and Washington. I ain't doing business in, I'll never do business in California or Washington. Reasons. Yeah. But I love you guys to death. You're great to visit, but I'm not doing business there.
Yeah.
And I really just want to grow there, like preferably in Oregon and Utah. I mean, we just have a solid team built here in Oregon and Utah. But I'm not opposed to anywhere else. And it's tough, man. Like I'm not really looking to grow right now. Now it's a chess game to me of how profitable can I make this $100 million, and can I take this $100 million with the same locations and make it 150? Yeah, and I know that I can. And so it's like, would I rather keep buying locations at, you know, and do 200 million in sales and still be the same profitability ratio or dollar amount as with the 100 million? Like if I'm going to make $5 million on 100 million. Or $5 million on 200 million in 8 more locations. Why? Yeah. And so I've had to ask myself these hard questions because I get around these guys and I'm like, I want to keep growing, and I got 9 locations. Have you grown? Yeah, I got another location, and I'm like, I'm fist bumping, and then like the older guys are like, come step in my office. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm growing. They're like, okay, well now, like it's way better to measure yourself against people where your net profit is really what matters. Because you get around a lot, like people, 100 million in sales, dude, they automatically think we're, all these things, right? Rolling it, But then like a lot of other people are like, hey, what's your bottom line? Okay, well, like it's the RV industry. And they're like, okay, what's your cash flow situation? Like it's that game now. Yep. And so I have a lot of, we've completely changed the industry. And I will say we've had an impact on this entire industry. The way we do business and our culture, which I'm all about, is my culture. And now I'm like, hey, like we've had an impact at 9 locations. Let's just grow the right way, which makes sense for us, where we know we can handle it, but we got to build that foundation. Yeah. Instead of going and just, like building a house, right? You build the house, you dig the hole, you put the footings in, make sure those footings are rock solid. Then you put the foundation on top of the footings, you backfill all of it. And then then you start framing it. Well, we basically, in a very fast way, went and graded a lot, threw up framing first, and just crushed it. And then the house is like, hey, like what's going on? And we're like, okay, now we're kind of unraveling a little bit, building that foundation. And I think we're going to have the best year of our life this year. And we're getting smart with AI and all these. I mean, we're doing some industry first stuff. And now I'm like, okay, now this is going to be a game of how good and how profitable I can make that 10%. Or that 10 to 14%, like very, very strong dealerships are between 10 and 14%. That's what I want to go and be like, chest bump people at these conferences and be like, I'm making 10% net. And be like, wow. Because most people are making 4 to 5.
I love it, dude. And it's super smart. It sounds like you guys are thinking about it the right way. I am curious about the jet, dude, because for us, a goal that I have for our company, Park West, is we're a real estate company. So we're traveling a lot. We're racking up the Delta to Sky miles. It's like, we'd love to get a plane at some point, right? I don't know when that is, but how have you guys worked that into your cost structure, like your business plan? Like, does it make financial sense? Has it been, I don't know, like, I'm just curious, really.
So, dude, I could talk 10 hours about airplanes. I know way too much about aviation airplanes. It's literally my obsession and passion. If I could be in one industry and I could just pick and be a multimillionaire, it'd be aviation. I love it. Wow. I know every model of every plane, every goofy thing about them. Like, I could look at 100 planes on a runway, and I could tell you probably 90% of what they are. Wow. I mean, I'm a little weird. Cool. And airplanes are great. They're very expensive. I would get in a situation. So our situation is we have 3 airplanes. Way too many. We've kind of realized, like, guys, this is just not working out. We have a lease on one. It's a Pilatus PC-12, which I think is a decent situation. And then we have a Phenom 300, which we own 25% of it, which is a perfect situation. And then we own 100% of a Gulfstream G200, which is a horrible situation. And so we bought that plane to charter out, and we got in with a bad company, and it's just not working out, and we're going to kind of offload it.
Okay.
The best situation for an individual, airplanes do not make sense if you're not flying 200 to 300 hours a year, and that is a lot. I mean, I fly a ton, and I think I flew 65 or 70 hours last year.
Got it.
I do fly a lot of Delta because a lot of times it doesn't make sense if I'm flying by myself. I've only done a couple flights solo. But if you could get in an airplane like we have on this Phenom 300, it's 8 seats, or technically 9, but 8 seats can go anywhere in the U.S., $1,800 an hour. Perfect aircraft, like beautiful. But then you think about it, and I'm like, okay, I'm paying maybe $300,000 a year for the fixed costs, and then I have to pay for the trip every time I go on it.
$1,800 an hour.
Yeah.
Plus the $300 for fuel, pilot. And that's 25% of it. And so
so our Gulfstream, just for it to sit there and never leave the ground, is about $1.5 million a year.
And you split that with 3 other groups?
No, that one we own it. 100%.
Okay, sorry, the Gulfstream.
The Phenom with 300, we split it with 3 other groups.
Okay.
That makes the most sense to me. Or like leasing one. But then if you think about it, and you can go through the cost seg, like, chartering's not a bad idea either. If you're going to fly, every so often or once a month or this and that, like, it doesn't really make sense to have that burden. One smart thing that I've found out through all this thing is when your revenue shuts off or you have a bad month, you can't shut off the airplane's expense, right? If you're chartering, you just don't fly that month.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Chartering is basically leasing, like
if I just called
flight by flight, like you just say need to book at $2,000 an hour or whatever.
But like my Pilatus, so we have a little Pilatus PC-12. It's an 8-seater single prop turboprop. It's the most popular sold plane in the world.
Okay,
that one's not a bad situation. I just basically front load them 50 hours worth of flights, and I use it whenever I want to. So when I don't want to fly that month, I just one-time expense, boom, 50 hours. I'm off the hook. Good, and then I just use it whenever I want to, and then pay for fuel. Pretty much just pay for fuel as I go.
That's interesting.
And so that makes sense. I can digress in every situation in an airplane. We've had. My mom and dad had an airplane for 7 years when I was growing up. Very different world back in the 90s, but they're expensive, man. There's nothing about it, and I've even thought about, okay, look, offload them. I use the Phenom a lot, but then I'm looking at, okay, like, how much would the charter be? And so far I've added it all my flights. Like, I've flown the Phenom 1 time this year. I've not flown it since the beginning of December, but we're paying, you can say $20,000-$25,000 a month for it to sit there.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'm like,
dude.
Wow. I'm like, I could have just not paid that expense. And then it's been being used by either the other owners or in maintenance.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I really needed to fly, and I did need to fly somewhere, I ended up just flying commercial, but I'm like, if I really needed to, I could just charter for maybe $10,000, $15,000 or $20,000, a bigger airplane,
right,
and get to where I needed and go and come back. And then if I go to the dealerships once a quarter, say it's $20,000 a charter, going to the dealerships once a quarter, and I do that one time, because I could do an Oregon trip in one day. That's $80,000 in a year.
Yeah,
it's way cheaper,
right,
than owning the airplane.
Yeah,
and so there's also, dude, I know every pilot, every aviator, everybody in this industry. Like, I know everything, like, a lot about airplane. It's weird. I consult a lot of businesses about it when it makes sense. What planes to buy, the missions. Like, I feel like I could have put a plane broker. Should have been a plane broker back in the day. But it just, like, airplanes are crazy, man. It's so expensive. It's so expensive. Like, I think we're paying like $50,000 a month in salaries in that Gulfstream, and we haven't flown it ever.
Dang.
We've flown it one trip.
Yeah.
And it was last December, and we've had it for like 9 months.
Got it.
And just sitting there because it's been in maintenance, and it's done this and then that. Like, this has been a disaster situation. Like, I'm not very happy with the people that we bought it from or bought it with, or like the management company. But the Phenom is it's a great airplane. I love it,
dude. Well, I appreciate you breaking that down, because I didn't realize there's a few different ways to think about it and to get the
and
job
I know
done.
Like every jet program, jet card, net jets, like I know all the people that there.
Yeah.
And I run around in a circle with guys that own multiple jets. I know that run around in circles with guys that charter. Like, I know the numbers because we have an airplane that charter. Like I know how all this works. And if you have any, dude, please.
Yeah, I will.
Please call.
Dude, I'm going to hit you up.
I get super upset when people are like, oh, I went and did this. I'm like, why? Why would you not call me? Because I could have saved you money or told you the person to call or airplane or stop trying to be someone that you're not by chartering a massive Gulfstream to fly an hour and a half to California with 5 people when you could have saved probably 60% of that money. And then I started to look at it as opportunity costs, right? Like if you're buying like I love people that laugh at people that buy these big massive Gulfstreams, and I'm like, where do you usually go? Oh, Arizona, California, maybe Texas. And I'm like, okay, we bought an airplane that can go anywhere in the world. Congratulations. But 80-90% of your missions are an hour and a half away with 4 people. Why would you buy an airplane? Buy the airplane that's going to fit 70 to 80% of those missions and then charter the rest of them. Like if you want an airplane to go to Hawaii, awesome. Congratulations. But you go there once a year. So why are you like your costs? I mean, sometimes some of these Gulfstreams are $6,000 to $8,000 an hour.
Dang.
Versus my Phenom at 1,800.
Yeah.
Like perspective, right?
Yeah, right.
And so it's like, okay, well, I can get anywhere I want to super fast here. And then the one time I want to take my family to Hawaii, hey, you're going to pay out the ass and freaking charter going to Hawaii. Yeah. But you'll net way less because of all the missions wasted, right?
Right. I love it. Super knowledgeable. Obviously, I'll be hitting you up.
Yeah.
Hopefully sooner than later when we're thinking about this.
Listening, man, like
hit up Jason.
Hit up me because I have been smart with planes and dumb with planes and had planes for a few years. And now we have 3 of them, and I'm like, okay, guy, like I could totally open up a plane consulting company and be like, when does it make sense, and where do you go?
Yeah.
And I have all these formulas and stuff because we use them. Okay, when does it make sense? How does it make sense? Calling the fuel people, knowing the right manager company, how to pay the manager company, the pilot situations, this and that. Like, there's so many things to go into an airplane, and the FAA is crazy. Like we have a couch that we're putting in the Phenom. That couch, I mean, this is stupid. The couch is almost $400,000. It's a 2-person couch. It's basically like, but it's the FAA regulations, and there's one company in the world that can do it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, dude, there's just, sorry, I don't mean to rant about airplanes, but it's like my obsession.
I've always been curious. So I love it, man. Super insightful. Lou, what else you have going on? I know I saw you're doing some cannabis stuff. Yep. I see you, with like Ryan Flint on doing some other stuff. See you with, like Keaton Hoskins a lot. I don't know Keaton personally, but I mean, apart from the RV stuff, I mean, what else are you working on?
So I'm a partner in a cannabis company. We're the only cannabis company that's partnered with the NFL. Like we do all the Super Bowl stuff. We do all the sponsoring and have a lot of NFL players. Some of my partners, like one of the partners is Jim McMahon, Kyle Turley, Evan Britton. Like there's those 3 NFL guys and a couple other of us. I'm just a small guy, but I work with it a little bit. Ryan and I are actually, getting together, doing a business coaching group.
Okay.
We get asked so much about real estate. I mean, Ryan's done over $4 billion in real estate transactions as a broker. And I get asked a ton about how I've run our companies. And so we're doing that together. We do a lot of real estate developing and investing together, massive projects. We're also, we have a group that we raise capital and different things for a lot of real estate. I mean, we're very, very tight into real estate. And I also do, like now my business consulting is kind of going over to Ryan, but I do a lot of culture coaching. So executive coaching, culture coaching. I have a software that I've developed with 2 other gentlemen that we go into your personalities, your management styles. We build the team. I take kind of the Moneyball approach to building executive teams.
Got it.
And business teams, because basically my dealerships run 95% without me. I mean, I'm putting a few hours a week into them. More of it's just because I love it. And then I'm also scaling all these other companies. And so I've been able to do all that. But then I've been able to coach a lot of companies in their culture and their coaching and the mission statements, their values, how you manage through values, how you manage with culture, and diving deep into it. So I've been doing a lot of that. We could throw a link in, and I can give a lot of your listeners like a free session. I do a lot of coaching. There's a cost to it, but I always consult for free and see what I could do for you. And if I can't, I say, hey, I can't do anything. Yeah. But that is really where my passion is. I love public speaking. I love teaching culture. I have a very unique style of how I do culture. And I'm only 29. And so people are always interested of how I built a company at, I started at 25, but how I've been able to put that team together. And I just took a very different approach to it. But that's really a lot what I got going on.
Yeah, man. And you host your Culture Camp podcast.
Oh, yeah.
How's that? I mean, I mentioned it to you when we met the other day, but it, you know, part of this podcast was like, dude, you got an awesome, Jason's got an awesome podcast going, similar vibe to this, but yeah, how's that been for you guys? And yeah, I'd be curious. Cause like for this, right. Like I'm just renting the studio out,
right.
Kind of, having great guests in here like you, but it hasn't been, I've got no advertising, no sponsorship. I'm just kind of like, my return on investment is this conversation I'm having with Jason Haugen right now. But yeah, I don't know. How are you thinking about it? Is it something you're trying to make money on?
Dude, same. Like, you know, one day I would like to figure out how to break even. Right now it's just a big black hole to my budgets and stuff like that. But I love it. Like I love, you know, I'm only little old me. Like, you know, I just barely started on social media about a year and a half ago when I launched the podcast. Is really when I started on social media. Yeah. Other than just a couple, you know, 100 followers and pictures of me and my daughter, and wife in life and stuff like that. And it's been great. Like I love, like really, I'm similar to you. Like I love just being able to talk to other entrepreneurs and business owners about culture. Like it is all about culture. Culture camp is, you know, I love the RV industry, but so culture camp is what I did. And I've always envisioned of like holding an event called Culture Camp. Yeah, we dive into stuff like that. But I love the podcast. You know, I do it out of my house, right in the basement. Everybody's like, dude, your studio looks so epic. I'm like, dude, it's just a wall that I decorated in my basement. And they're like, what? Like Sean Whalen came over and he was like, bro, this is sick. Like, you got to help me do a home podcast studio. And I'm like, dude, yeah, like literally, if you're just feeling it, it's like a Zoom call. Like you just put on a nice shirt, go pop up the camera and do it. Like, you know, I got video over here, but before that I did all my own videos. I had some people edit it and different things like that, but I do all my own setup, all my own production. Well, now I got guys to do that, but yeah, dude, I love it. Like that's good. I want to keep blowing it up, and I'm almost at 100,000 downloads. I think I'm at 100,000 downloads, which isn't awesome, crazy. But I think I'm at 40 episodes or 38 episodes, something like that. So it's legit, dude. How have you grown because I've seen, I think when your podcast first came out, I was like, oh, Jason seems like a sick guy. And yeah, I think you had like whatever, a couple hundred followers or 1,000 followers. Now you're like at, I don't know, 30,000 I'm
or something.
Like 28,000, and it fluctuates, dude. For some reason, and I don't know if I got signed up on something. I got a lot of fake followers. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't even know where they're coming from. Like the other day, I was looking at my Instagram and I got like 500 followers. I'm like, where did they come from? Yeah, like in one day. And so I don't know if I got signed up for something. You know, I had someone running my social media. I don't know what happened. But like I joined a couple giveaways with some buddies that were influential and different things like that. Yeah, that are like, hey man, I want to help your social. Sure. Which really has not done anything for me. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like my soul, like I don't get a lot of engagement on things. Yeah. I'm trying to learn and figure that out, but I want to keep creating that content. And I know it's a long process. Yeah. And so, you know, just do it the bootstrap way. I mean, there's a lot of people who buy followers. Like I got a buddy the other day that was on his Instagram, and I'm like, dude, you have 9 pictures and now you have like 100,000 followers and you have like
something's not adding
like
up.
7,000 likes in your last picture. I'm like, what happened? He's like, dude, I paid $60 and I got all these followers and likes. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, like this is where our world's coming to. Yeah. And so, but I want to put real content out. I think that's what matters the most. I was actually listening to Alex Hermosi today. I got to meet him and connect with him, and hopefully, you know, gonna fly down to Vegas and kick it with him in a few weeks. But nice. He talks about just, you know, a couple of years and putting that content out there for free and that jab, right hook, like Gary Vaynerchuk always says. Yeah. So that's kind of really my mentality of all this content. So yeah, love it, dude. My dream is to speak, man. I used to speak full time, basically in the network marketing for 6 years. And I want to get back to that. Like I loved being able to teach and make an impact. And now I have a business where everything that I've done and speak on in my culture is actually being implemented in a business with 200 employees. So it's not false. Like I have the track record. And so now it's getting people to be like, oh, like take that serious. And it's been tough, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's been hard. Like I get around in these circles and I'm like, this guy's speaking. Are you freaking kidding me? Like he's never done anything. Yeah. He wrote a book on what? Right. And then I'm like, dude, I've built this and that. Yeah. And how do you say that without being braggadocious and being mean about it? It's hard, which is not me, so it's hard. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think you see a lot of guys who are on stage who are famous for kind of being famous. Like they haven't really done a ton, but they've just So for you to build your business the way you have, and then translating that into consulting, speaking, and that's another thing, dude. Like, I feel like over the last 6 months, I'm trying to like outside kind of, you know, looking in to see, you know, your social circle, right? Like your personal network with like Ryan Flint, Sean Whalen, Keaton Hoskins, like all these guys that are just like crushing it. I mean, what advice would you have for someone
from a networking standpoint or just like personal brand, trying to like, I don't know, get exposure to people? I don't know if you're in like a mastermind or you're in like a mentorship group or anything like that.
Dude, it's all just been from connections, relationships, from just building real raw connections, and showing up to networking events and just being there and not odd, being weird and trying so hard.
Yeah.
The thing about me is I've been in the RV industry. Don't I meet someone, you literally can't do anything for me. Like, people are like, what can I do for you? Support me. How?
Yeah.
I don't know, besides buy a trailer, but just be my friend.
Yeah.
They're like, okay. Like, I meet a lot of famous athletes and different things and like, what can I do for you? And I'm like, be my friend.
Yeah.
What can I do this? Like, I'm not like, no, like your followers aren't really my demographic. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what to ask them. And so, there's like, try not to be weird and have a motive going to things. Try to go cultivate the relationship and give. A really good piece of advice that Alex Hermosi said on his Instagram the other day is basically, don't ask me what you can give me. Go do the research and just give it to me.
Yeah. And
I think that's a very valuable lesson of just be a real raw, good person and don't fake anything. Like, and if you're not that type of person, don't fake it. I do think that it's very valuable to network and to get around people and to learn all you possibly can. Another piece of advice is that when you get around these guys, not you, but to listeners, is just shut up and listen. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I've been in board meetings where I haven't said one word and everybody looks at me and they're like, I'm just listening, taking it all in. Like, that's why quite often I will do meetings in 2 sessions or 2 days where I'll listen the first day and then I'll have a plan the next day, but I just like to listen. Like, like even when I bought multiple dealerships, the guys are spilling and I don't say anything. I look around, I'm learning from you, dude. Like, I think I don't know where I developed that skill. I think it's from my dad, but just listen, figure out how you can. Don't be schemy, don't be transactional, be the real relationship type of person, and keep your circle tight. Yeah. My buddy Greg Woodfield is actually his grandfather, gave him this advice, and his grandfather recently passed away. It just still affects my life. Is the value of $1, the value of 4 quarters versus 100 pennies is the same. Yeah. But the weight is different, right? And if you have those 4 quarters, the value is the same, but the weight's different. Hold your circle tight.
Yeah, I love it.
And not saying don't be mean to people and say, you're not in my circle, screw off, but like, just hold your circle tight. I've got burned. We were just talking about it before this. I got burned by some what I thought were friends. Bad. Tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in some ends. And I've learned a lot of those lessons is just keep your circle a little tight. Yeah, that's great advice, man. Yeah. And I love what you said, trying to add value first. And for me in this podcast, I try to do as little talking as I can because I'm just, which is great because there's
absorbing the info, dude.
I feel like I talk a lot, but it's good. And I've been on some podcasts where literally the individual talked the entire time, and I'm like, why did you bring me here? Like, it doesn't really make any sense. Yeah, exactly. But you're awesome, dude. Like, I'm a big fan. Like, I hope you're crushing it, dude. I've heard really, really good things about you. I'm glad that we connected. Yeah. It's been great, at that Cars and Coin event, and it's been now, and I'm sure we'll keep this connection going. Yeah, for sure. Would love to, man. Just last couple questions, and we'll wrap this up, dude. In terms of just advice in general for entrepreneurs, this part of this podcast is trying to inspire people who've been on the sidelines or want to start a business or get into the game somehow. But what advice do you just have to somebody who wants to start a business, go out on their own, kind of ignite that entrepreneurial drive? Yeah. First off, learn to love people. Second, start and don't stop. Don't get paralysis by analysis. You're never going to know everything before you start. And please don't try. It is so toxic when you try to know everything from the start. Even me, I don't want to know everything. Like, I purposely stay away out of meetings because I don't want to know it. I don't want to be like, and that's how I do a lot of coaching with systemizing businesses. Like, learn how to systemize your business and try not to be everything to everybody. And, figure out your superpower, roll with your superpower, but like, learn how to love those people and learn how to just start and don't stop and keep pushing, like, keep pushing. And when you think you're going to fail, when you think it's enough, just keep pushing and get a mentor. It's huge. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. A lot of these guys in the circle in Utah and all these things, they want to help people. They, whether it costs money or free advice, whatever, they want to help people get a mentor and just be you. Just don't fake it till you make it. Just be you. Love it, man. And this is actually last question that you ask a lot on your podcasts I've listened to, is talking about
like, what is the definition of success for you? And I don't know if anyone's asked this to you, but yeah, I'd love to hear, with everything you have going on, your business, your family, your life, how do you define success?
I define success with freedom. I just want freedom. I just want to live a life that I love. I don't want to feel like I own a company that I'm in, like, I get bonded, sounds weird, but like I'm in jail to I can't, like, I just want freedom. I want to spend time with my wife. I want to spend time with my daughter. I want to, this baby that's on the way. I want to have that time. I want to be able to impact others and just be me. And I just want that freedom, whether that's, $1 million a year, $100 million a year. I don't really know. But I just want that freedom. And I want to, like, when I can look myself in the mirror and I'm happy, that's success to me. If I look myself in the mirror and I hate who I'm looking at or hate what I'm doing, can't live with that. That's success is when I can literally look myself in the mirror and be like, I left it all out in the field today or all out there today, and I'm happy and I'm smiling. Is every day going to be perfect? No. But as long as I'm happy and getting through it, then that's success to me.
Love it, man. Well, no better way to end, Jason. Really appreciate you coming down here for the show and taking the time, man. It's really good to have this conversation.
An honor, man. Thank you so much. I know our first time we tried, and it's just Utah decided to spit like a foot of snow that day.
Yeah.
But just really an honor, man. I really, really appreciate you. You give me the opportunity to share, and it really means a lot to me. I mean, I love this and love what you're doing, and just keep crushing it, and really appreciate you.
Thanks, man.